Good morning. It's Sunday, so you know that when I say good morning, I mean noon. I think I kind of just want to hang out today, catch up. We haven't had a live catch up in a minute. We haven't sat, chatted, talked about where we're at, how we're doing, and I would like to read something today. So I might put some chapters down in the video just so you know, like, when I'm done running my mouth and when we actually get to the books. Because how are we doing? How have we been doing? What is going on? That Q4 is here. How is work? How is life? How is reading? How are we feeling? I I feel like I've been in my head, but in a good way recently. First up, let's talk about the nails because I just got my nails done yesterday. And I'm gonna be honest, if you had met me 4 years ago, back in Chicago, I have always been a nail girl. Always. I love a long nail. I love an acrylic nail. I've always been that person. And I would say that somewhere along the lines, I got it in my head that nails were ghetto or nails were unprofessional or people didn't like the look of long nails. And somewhere along the lines, I got it in my head that the outward perception of me would come off in a certain way with these long nails, which is such a crazy thing to say as a woman with a low fade and a neck tattoo. But at the same time, something about, I'm gonna use the wrong word, but I'm gonna use a word that I don't necessarily agree with, but I do think it was sitting in the back of my head. But it's like I've been trying to de-ghettoify myself. I've been trying to clean up a lot of the expression that I love, from how I dress to my nails to lashes to makeup. I've been like lessening my outward influence. I don't know how to word that. It's like, while I am somebody who has so many tattoos and has a very memorable look, it's like I've been doing what I can to fade as much into the background as possible. I haven't felt like dressing up. We'll get to that in a second. That's a whole other thing. I haven't felt like the nails. I haven't felt like any of it. And when I went to go get my nails done yesterday, I always schedule the same thing. It's a little dip manicure, natural nail, whatever we can do. Nothing crazy. And I always go to the same nail guy, and he knows what to do. We do the same thing, short, square. But when I sat down, I don't know what it was. I was like, I miss what used to just make me so happy. What used to be such an act of self-care. What used to be such a fun thing that I would do on my once a month maintenance. But you know what else I think got to me? I'm on the side of the internet that is really angry about how much maintenance is starting to cost. Really angry about it. But everything is 4 times as expensive as it was 10 years ago. Everything is 4 times as expensive as it was 10 years ago. And nail prices have gone up. Pedicure prices have gone up. But goodness gracious, I can just sit down with a sheet of paper and figure out how much I'm eating out. You know where my biggest money spend is? If I don't want to cook dinner, I'll go grab like something from Whole Foods or something. Or if I don't want to cook dinner, I'm going to go grab like a quick something at one of the local markets, which isn't a cheap way of eating. I don't want to eat out, but I will go get like a chicken Caesar salad wrap from one of the local markets. That's going to be $12 to $15 if I get like a side with it or a salad with it. Or I go to Cava, $15, $15 to $20. I'm doing that 2 to 3 times a week. That's a manicure in itself. That is a manicure. That's my pedicure. And I don't know. It's expensive. I'm not invalidating how expensive these services are. But goodness gracious, just let me have my self-care. I'm gonna do it. Is it maybe a frivolous purchase? I don't care. Let me have it. I love going to the nail salon. I love getting my feet done. I love getting my hands done. I will just be better with money in order to get the long claws that I was missing. But anyways, I usually get like a sharp almond. These are more stiletto, but it's mostly because my nail guy is so used to doing the exact same things that when I sat down and I asked for acrylics, he said, "My goodness, I'm so sorry. I scheduled somebody right after you." And I was like, "Oh no, like I'm the problem here. We do the same thing all the time. I've always done the same thing. I should have informed you that we were doing something else." So we couldn't fit in an almond today. And I said, "I don't care. Like, let's just do stiletto. I'll have some fun with the stiletto, become myself again, feel like myself again." But you know another thing that I've been struggling with? And as we all know, about 5, 6 months ago, I lost a family member. And literally a week after that, I had called my best friend because I needed to vent. And he kept making it about himself and cutting in and ignoring and not listening. And I got upset at him. And this is my person. This is my person. When I say best friend, I mean my person through and through. Nothing romantic. This is my person. And when I got mad that he just wasn't listening to me, like, I just had somebody pass this week. Like, maybe allow me to be the center of the conversation this week. Just this 1 week. Let me just be angry and sad and upset for 1 week. That's all I'm asking. And he wouldn't listen, and I got frustrated about it. And he did some like weird macho guy thing where he was like, "Hey, I do think we need to part ways. I need to focus on myself as a man and get better because I shouldn't be friends with people if I can't be the kind of man that I need to be for my friends. And I need to focus on myself and do that alone. So we do need to part ways in order for me to focus on myself. Also, I do feel like the care and love I have for you could distract me from the goals that I have in life, and I don't want you to be a distraction while I'm trying to grow as a man." That happened 3 days after my grandma passed. And that's the person that I talk to. I have so many amazing friendships, but for the first couple months, it was just, I lost the person I talked to. And I think the grief would have been maybe a little bit easier those first couple months if I knew who to go to. And I'm not so much upset about losing that friendship. I'm an amazing friend, and I'm such a cool person. So I didn't really grieve the loss of that friendship. I grieved the changing and restructuring of my life, if that makes any sense. It doesn't sound so selfish. It wasn't, oh, I've lost a person. It was, woof, I'm really out here doing it on my own. And I'm really out here figuring this out. And I'm really out here like the person that I talked to at the end of the workday, that routine is gone. It was more so like, oh, how did my week become so different in 72 hours? I think that is what hit so hard, because I haven't cried over him. I've cried over not knowing who to talk to. I've cried over not knowing who to celebrate wins with. It wasn't him. It was, I've cried over not knowing who to brainstorm stupid, silly booktube ideas with and talk out ideas for my booktube. I've cried over the loss of a family member, and I've cried over the loss of my person, truly my person. I would ramble about anything and everything, and it was such a daily occurrence for me. The person I talk to on my evening walks. And losing my grandma was hard, but she was ailing. She was ailing. And it was one of those things of like, I grieved and grieved and grieved because I knew that she was getting worse. She survived cancer 3 separate times. Like, she's a trooper. But it was one of those things of, we saw the decline and another round of chemo didn't make sense. And it was like, when she passed, it was, I want to say, relief that she was no longer in pain. And I had grieved so long for her that that relief just kind of set. And I was like, gosh, like, I'm so glad that pain is over. And I'm so glad that she fought as hard as she could for the time that she could. And then that was that. But then I lost a friend. And then it was hard because literally about a year and a half ago, just before I moved to Texas, I had lost the person before my person. So before this guy who couldn't take that I was grieving and made it all about himself, I had a different person. And that person had been in my life since childhood. That was my everything. And he lost himself to addiction and the battle against mental health, which is why I'm so serious about like mental health, and I can't read books that like handle those types of topics too heavy. And something about losing my grandma and my person just sort of hit me. Like, I've lost somebody else so recently, and how did I lose one person that I spoke to and then another person that I spoke to, and how are people gone? And it felt like and then I spiraled because it felt so self-centered of me to be focusing on, I don't know, like me, my needs. I've lost people, but I was just so focused on like, how did I lose my people? How did I lose my people? How? Like, that's all I could think. And it feels so selfish and like nearing narcissism for me to be so focused on the effects on me. But I've also tried not to be too hard on myself in the grieving period. Well, I did. I was hard on myself for a second. I'm slowly pulling myself out of that. All that to say is, in this, like, getting my nails done and doing all of that, in the past year, a full year, I have gained 20 pounds. I'm laughing because it's like, the body is the body. The body is elastic. I'm proud of myself for not being like college me, because I used to get stressed and not eat. I would get stressed this time and bake and make pancakes and cook and try new recipes. So like, who cares? It's the pairing of baking and experimenting and cooking and trying new recipes and finding new taco trucks, in pairing that with, like I said about my nails, somewhere along the lines, I've stopped doing the things that I enjoy. I do enjoy the gym. I do enjoy taking my dog on a run. I do enjoy long walks. But somewhere in this past year, the things that I enjoy were the hardest things to do. The self-care items, the gym, walking, running, hiking. Oh, I love a nature trail. All of these things feel hard. And I don't know why. I don't know why the things that I know that make me happy are the hardest to do. And I've gained 20 pounds. I'm thick. But it's not about my body changing that's frustrating. It's more of, I miss putting on some music and going for a 10-mile run and just losing myself in that. And I miss going to the gym, and I love how strong and able I am. I'm weaker now. And I miss yoga. I'm less flexible because I haven't stayed up on top of that. All these things, it feels like I've been punishing myself. And you know what's so weird about being on BookTube? I don't care that I've gained 20 pounds, but I care that the camera sees that I gained 20 pounds. I care that my cute clothes don't fit. I don't know. It's been so weird. It's been so weird. It's been so weird. But you know what feels good? I'm excited and willing to get the things that I love back. I can't go on a 10-mile run right now, but I'm very open and accepting to getting out there and having some really slow 2-mile runs. I'm not that strong in the gym now, but I'm open and willing to the process of getting back there because, again, the body is so amazing and strong and elastic and forgiving. And also, like, eat some sad cookies. Grief is something that I think is so violent and unforgiving and hard. And I don't think you can come out of grief and not have changed in some way because it affects you internally. Mine ate cookies. And I'm so proud of myself for feeding myself and serving myself and making sure I felt good all through this. I think that's most important. I'm proud of myself for taking care of myself this entire time. I've been less active, but I took care of myself. I'm just at the point where it's like, okay, like, let's sit back and figure out what makes me happy again. Let's sit back and figure out what things I miss and be understanding that it's going to be hard for a second. And stop being so weird about being on camera. I've been weird. I haven't wanted to put my body on the screen because I'm understanding, but I would effing lose it if one comment came up about if I gained weight. But like, I'm the only person that sees it. I think I'm the only person that knows. Also, this community is so cool and so amazing, and you guys are so awesome, and I love all of you. And nobody would ever come into this community and be all like, hey, you big back bitch. Like, nobody would do that because we're all so great. But somehow I got it into my head that I was going to start getting bullied. But I don't know if I'm worried that somebody will bring up that I've gained weight so much as I'm worried that my grief is so outwardly apparent in those videos where it's been hard, but I feel like I've put on a face a bit better, or I feel like I acted through a video. It's like, can people tell that that was one of my bad days? And then with vlogging, it's like, when I vlog, usually I do 2 to 3 days of vlogging, maybe up to a week. I don't know. I never know. I was at the point for a long time where I didn't know if I'd have that many good days back to back. So I couldn't put together bigger vlog ideas because I didn't know if I would have them. I didn't know if I could have that many good days. I've been feeling better though. Like, not to like knock on wood, but it's been feeling really bright. And I think the brightness is coming from like the curiosity and the excitement in myself, in like sitting back and being like, hey girl, like, what do you love and what have you been missing? And also, nobody's watching you. I have in my head so much about going back to the gym and people noticing that I've gained 20 pounds. Nobody's looking at you. Like, nobody is looking at you. And grief sucks. And I finally feel like I have more above the water days, but I also feel like I've been grieving a lot. That friend 2 years ago, my grandma, the loss of another friend, moving, life-changing, a new job, the loss of a job. I had also applied to go for my doctorate in the midst of all of that, and I got into the schools that I wanted to, and scholarships for those schools and grants for those schools, but I didn't get into the programs that I wanted. And I wanted that so badly. I wanted a doctorate in English so badly. Well, I thought I did. Maybe I do. I don't know. When I didn't get into the programs, they offered that I at least start the school under the grants and maybe try to apply to the programs later. But it's like, if I don't get into the programs with the professors that I want to, what's the point? They were very specific English programs that I was looking into. I don't want to just take English classes and just get the degree. There were programs I wanted to be a part of, and seminars and learning and teachings that I wanted to be a part of, and travel that I want. Like, there were certain programs that I wanted to be in. It wasn't just about the school. It was about the path of learning that I wanted to take. And I didn't get into a single, well, I say I didn't get into a single one. There were 3 programs that I wanted. There was one at Columbia, one at UC Berkeley had a really cool program in literature. And then there was one at Harvard. And I got into all the schools. This was literally a year and a half ago. And we were here. We were filming book videos at this time. And I got into the schools, celebrated. And then you hear about the programs like a month later and didn't get into a single one. I applied to 3. I'm saying a single one. I didn't apply to many. And it hurt. It hurt. And I couldn't even celebrate that I made it into the schools because I turned them down. And then I had to sit here and figure out, like, what do I want out of life? Do I know? No. I'm 28. And I have no idea what I want in life. And that's what I've been feeling. Like a loss. But even then, now when I sat down, recently I sat down and I journaled and I was like, what do I want? Who do I want to be? And I was just like, well, I miss my nails. I miss my lashes. I miss drawing and I miss art classes and I miss hobbies. And I'm like, why do I have to have some big purpose? Why can't I have my silly little 9-to-5 and then have a bunch of hobbies and a bunch of things and create and express? And I love making videos and I love editing videos. Why do I have to have some bigger purpose outside of the fact that I just have some things that I have a lot of fun with? I love taking out this camera and doing some bull poop. I love taking on my little walk and putting up the camera and filming little things. I love that. I get so much joy from the creative process of this. And also, even when it comes out bad, I love being like, oh, I'll fix this next time. I love the problem solving of it. I love playing with new gadgets, and I like sitting at my computer and putting it together like a story. And why not just do that? Why do I have to be some big person? Why do I have to do this? I can't just have a 9-to-5 and then go to art classes and get coffee and go on walks and go to the gym. And that has been something that I've been trying to get into my head amidst the grief, because I am the only person in my family to go to college. And I think as a Black woman, I want the degrees and I want the accomplishment and I want the title, but do I? You guys, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Mostly I just kind of wanted to check in because, like, I miss vlogging so much. But on my end, I got a few mental hurdles that I'm trying to get over in that. I have a few vlogs that I'm thinking about putting together, and I'm thinking about filming, and I really want to. But if you only see me from the nose up, just know I was having a bad day, okay? I'm trying. Woof. Let's talk about books now. Only books for the rest of the day. I bought some new things. Let me go grab some new things. We need to pick out a book for today. We need to talk about what I've been reading. Woof. That was heavy. Let's talk books. And let's maybe read something fun today. I have purchased some books. I'm not going to purchase any more books for 2025. I need to be making it through my purchases. So this is going to be the last time you see that I've purchased some books. But I've got to show you I've got some good things. These are all the books I've purchased in the past, I would say about 2 months. This is 2 months of book purchases. First, I did get The Housekeeper by Yoko Ogawa. This is the author of The Memory Police. And when I read The Memory Police, the first time I read it, loved it. 10 out of 10. Such an amazing book. The second time I read it, it didn't hit as hard, but I think it's because it's one of those books where when you first experience those initial emotions are what's so important about it. So I did pick this one up, and it's just the story of a professor and a housekeeper who build a relationship and talk and converse and build a connection. I think it's one of those like slow people type books. And then I also picked up, this is an edition of I Who Have Never Known Men. I've read it before. I do not have my own copy. I had gotten it from the library, but this is a book that I did want to own, and I love this edition of it. The quote on the front says, "I was forced to acknowledge too late, much too late, that I too had loved, that I was capable of suffering, and that I was human after all." I think this is the most beautiful edition. Had to have it, special edition, whatever. It was a bit pricey, but hardcover. A lifetime purchase. I've then purchased Loved One by Aisha Maharar. Aisha is one of the writers that has worked on projects such as Hacks, Parks and Rec, and The Good Place. She has won an Emmy, and I do believe this is her first book. Don't quote me on that. But this is a story about a woman whose first love turned close friend unexpectedly passes away. And she's launched into this bit of an adventure in finding and collecting the things that belong to him and conversing and meeting those. And it's supposed to just be like sad, grief, loss, love, friendship, new connections. She talks to the woman that he was presently involved with and travels around. It's sort of a past, present, reflective type of piece. The reason I bought this is when I looked for it on the library, the hold list, I wasn't going to get it until next 2026 November. I was like, let me just go buy that book. I then have two things that I'm so excited to tell you about. First off, I've got a big one. Oh my gosh. This is Saga Compendium 1. So, I've read up to, I believe, comic 41 or 42, which is when the black pages come. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, those black pages. The compendium goes up to comic 54. So that's been my big purchase. I was not going to live my life not knowing what's going on. I had to know what's going on. My bookstore ordered it in. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to get into this. And then so one of my favorite publications is Cake Zine. I don't know if any of you have heard of Cake Zine, but it is a magazine publication where they come out with a topic, a food topic. They've had I will hunt my other copies down. They're lying around here somewhere. But they've had a cookie version, they've had a candy version, they've had a sexy cake version where they put out a post and they ask for submissions. And you can do an art submission, a written submission, you can give them poetry, you can end recipes, and it all comes together in this small print. And this one was the Forbidden Fruit Zine. And the editor letter in the front, I just love how this is written. It's just talking about wanting fruit and whatnot to come into this. Let's see if I haven't read through this yet. But within it, let's see. There's an essay. There's a recipe for pomegranate icebox cake with a Grecian story of how this recipe came to be. There's an essay called The Orange at the End of the World, Fruits of Labor, and they're all just a few pages. And the art in here is to die for. Tonka bean gooey butter cake is a recipe that we have in here. There's a poem in here called Concord. You have a tres leches recipe. Let's see. I haven't read through this yet, so I'll give you at least a paragraph of one of the essays in here. I love this publication. It's one of my favorites. Again, I'll try to find my others so I can show you. Maybe I'll make a video. Do you guys like magazines and print and Substack? I read a lot of stuff, but I never know what you're interested in. So this essay is called Please These Fruits, They're Trying to Kill Me. And it's an essay by Rihanna Hernandez with a small drawing. It was the dumbest scientific experiment I've ever conducted. Plump Korean pears, grapes, and apples sat in front of me like a firing squad. A bottle of antihistamine nearby in case things took a turn for the worst. Call it one of the worst games of chicken imaginable, but I didn't care. I just wanted to make weed cakes. Fruit and I have a very tense relationship. As a child, I was more likely to seek out a bowl of raspberries than the host of snowballs my peers so dearly desired. The hunt for the firmest nectarine, the constant search for that perfect crunch from the first bite of an apple, consumed my elementary years. At age 12, I was happily eating a giant peach during lunch at summer camp when one of the 6 Katies, or Liz's, I honestly can't recall, pointed at my face in disgust and exclaimed, "Ew, your face has gross bumps on it." Tiny hives erupted around my lip line, slowly creeping up my cheeks. I looked down at the bite marks on my once perfect peach. They matched the outline of pustules, ruining the terrain of my young face. I made a grave connection. My favorite snack was turning on me. It didn't just stop with the peach. Nectarines, cherries, pears, and a long list of other fruits would soon join the anti-Rihanna brigade. At first, doctors told me that I had a tree nut allergy, then a stone fruit allergy, finally prescribing me an EpiPen when plums and apricots led to near-instant regurgitation. I later discovered that my late-blooming fruit allergy was due to an oral allergy syndrome. Anything that was pollinated with alder, birch, or grass pollen would cause hives and an itchy throat, and leave my mouth feeling like someone was punching me from the inside of my lips. By the time I hit 30, I avoided fruit entirely and became the most annoying person to serve at a restaurant. I love this magazine. I love cute, small print magazines. It's something that I build like collections around. I have magazines about all sorts of stuff. I'm a magazine person. I have the Paris Review around here. I do collect Sight and Sound. I have some Believer in here. I like some of the Kindred articles are really good. I have some Film Society magazines. And I think there's one apartment deco that I have that I really saw a few really good articles in. But those are my recent purchases. Those are the things that I've gotten recently. I'm going to move this camera into my bedroom so we can choose a book for the day. And then, I don't know, read in my bed. I kind of want to hang out in the bed. I don't know what I want to read though. So let's maneuver you in there. Okay, I hope you can see that. I also hope that it's in focus. Okay, I hope we can see what's happening here. These are all of the books that I have to choose from. I've been working my way through the Chestnut Springs series. That's been fun. I don't think I want to vlog it because it's very like, it's a good time, but I don't, there's not much to say while I'm reading it, you know? It's just kind of like la 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 la. Like it's not a good vloggable book. These are some romantasy that I have. Also, this stack is the library wants these back before the end of next week. Emily Wilde is one of them. The whole Emily Wilde series they want back. They want this series back as well. There has been a lot of TikTok discourse around the Jasad Air series. I think it's more in like the people who don't like this are an ist. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. There's some TikTok drama around this series. Silver Cloak is a brand new release. It's gonna be a series, I think. The Favorites is supposed to be really good, but I think I should be a good library goer and focus on this stack. Emily Wilde is super popular. Am I in the mood for this? It's not large, so we can definitely finish it today. I do have Howl's Moving Castle, but I want the vibes to be perfect on that one. The day's already halfway over, and I don't want to rush Howl's Moving Castle. I want that to be like a nice little cozy time, and maybe we could watch the movie with that one as well. So let's save that one for like a day I can watch a movie. Silver Cloak. Dazzling, new, whatever. If I start this, I'm committed to this duology, and I think would I want to start a book and not have both in a video? If I did this, I think the person filming, okay, all right. It's this one or this one. Let's make the dog choose. Maybe if I'm going to put a treat. I'm going to put a treat on it. Okay, we're going to put a treat on it. And we're going to see which one Tchai chooses. And that's going to be how you know what else I have? This. I've already started this. So let's put that in the boat. We're going to let Tchai choose. Let me go grab some treats. I'm going to be right back. Do you want to help me film a video? Do you want a snack? Do you want a cookie? Do you want a snack? Okay, this is where I hide all of his treats and stuff. Little beef pieces. Yeah, we're excited about that. Okay. All right. Okay, here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to set this up with one of these on each. Okay. I gotta make this even. All right. No, not yet. Okay. No, not yet. Okay. Sava. Hammajang. That's the one we're reading today. Good boy. There's others. You can have the rest. Good job. You can have the rest. All right. That's what we're reading today. Hammajang. Let's go sit down. Let's go read this. So I forgot to check in at halfway. My bad. I have some split feelings on this. I am done with the book. And I'm going to tell you what it's about. And I'm going to tell you how the premise sort of feels before I get into why I have so many mixed feelings on it. So this is a heist novel. And I'm going to start telling you about where it begins 8 years ago. You have Angel and Edie. They are so locked in that they're just understood as being family at this point. They're best friends, tell each other everything, always have each other's back. Well, as they've grown up and throughout high school, they start off in petty theft. Then they start off picking up jobs. They start grifting, they start stealing, and then they start hitting larger jobs and larger heists. Well, one night, they have a pretty easy job, very in and out. Angel is going to send Edie just a quick bit of information. Angel is going to hit the docks, take what needs to be taken, and then she's right out. Everything has been researched. Angel has her back. When Edie gets to the docks, the information that Angel gives them is incorrect. And cops show up, and Edie gets thrown into prison. 8 years have gone by, and once those 8 years have passed, that's where the story begins. Edie is now 29. And out of nowhere, they get released from prison. They don't know why. They still have quite a few years ahead of them. Not sure. When the warden lets them out, gives them their bit of few belongings, they have, of course, outgrown a lot of their clothes. They come out to one car in the lot. The prison planet is actually quite far away, so this car has to be for them. And it's Angel, the person that sold Edie out. Sold them out, is waiting there for them. And Angel is, of course, like wildly trepidatious, and with good reason, because why is this person here? This person that I obviously should not be trusting. Why would Angel be here? Now, Angel is in this pristine outfit, and because Edie probably won't be able to find another person to pick her up unless she can convince one of the guards to drive her home during their week guard cycle. She's stuck here. She is at Angel's whim. Once in Angel's car, Angel opens up. She is the head of security of the largest corporate conglomeration in the known planets. And this isn't one of those corporates, of course, corporate anything. It's corrupt. It's not just this big corporate conglomerate. It has the police in their pockets. Possibly money is shifting elsewhere. It's not a good business. Angel has gotten a job as the head of security. In the car on the way over, Angel says, "I've got a job for you if you would like to take it. You'll be set for life." Edie wants nothing to do with Angel, and Angel says, okay, I'll give you a few days, but I'm sure you're going to reach back out to me. When Edie returns home, it's a shop on the bottom and the apartment is on the top, right? And that's where Edie's sister stays, Andy, and Andy's kids. And Andy has a daughter who has cancer, and it's just not doing well. They're barely scraping by for money. Fridge is pretty much empty, and Edie's main focus is getting out there and helping, getting a job. Edie hits all the docks, all the places, all the bars, but Edie's been blacklisted. Edie has been blacklisted because of their last job. So they hit up Angel. Angel is, of course, a little snarky, and it's like, if I knew you would call me. Let's talk about this job. The job is stealing intellectual property from this big corporate conglomerate. It's in like an old school safe, so very heist style. They have to put together a team, the best of the best. They need a hacker, an acrobat, grifters, and some muscle. And then Edie is a good old-fashioned thief, and Angel is the brains behind it all. Here's why I have mixed feelings. Marketing got us again. This is marketed as Ocean's 8 meets Blade Runner. Gideon the Ninth meets Six of Crows. Absolutely the F not. This is the legends and lattes of Six and Crows. The thing that I struggled with at first with this was the stakes of it. I also think that with the sheer size of the cast, it was difficult to come to feel for a lot of my characters just because the cast was so large. And the reason I didn't check in at halfway when I usually do, or even check in at a quarter, was not much was happening at that point. They were still putting together their little bit of team. They were still talking out the bits. Angel was just getting back into contact with Edie, and Edie was maneuvering, coming back home. Not much was happening at that usual halfway point. It is a much cozier tale. This is about the friends you make along the way, the family you make along the way. Who is most important? Then it's about love, connection. It's about found family. This is the legends and lattes of heist novels. There wasn't much backstabbing and corruption and high stakes. It was so much cozier in that it felt as if every speed bump that this team met, it had an easy enough solution. And then the happily ever after of it all really just sat like very happily, and it tied up very cleanly in a way that I don't think heists really give me. When I hear heist and I think Six of Crows, I think that there are twists, there are turns, there is lies, there's deceit. This was more so a building of family and of forgiveness and of connections. And again, the friends you meet along the way. I was sitting with it in the beginning, and I had to sort of check myself because I was like, this is dumb. Like, I was so bored, and I had to check myself because I was coming into it thinking of other heists that I read and other heist books that hit hard. And this one just isn't that. It just isn't that. This is cozy heist. This is family heist. This is friend heist. And I do think it does that cozy heist well. Marketed as Ocean's 8 meets Blade Runner is insane. That is absolutely not what this is. I think Ocean's 8, Blade Runner meets Legends and Lattes, and you get a sort of cozier family-like feel to it. I don't want to put a rating. I don't want to think about how to rate this right now. I made it through really quickly, but I had also already started it before this video. I picked into it a little bit last night, so I only really had 250 pages left today. I don't know if I'm going to start another book the day still feels like I have plenty of time to get into something else.
Pain lanced through her back, a hazy reminder of her fall through the forest. Hoping Christo hadn't heard her, Kel slowly rose onto her elbows. She looked back at the closet wall, but it wasn't a wall. It was a door. The 4 lab coats had hung along the top of the door, which had been left ajar. The closet she'd hidden in was connected to one of Christo's labs, hidden away behind tinted windows. Kel rose to her feet. She could no longer hear any voices, so she ventured into the center of the room. A dozen silver benches filled the space, covered with tubes and equipment that she'd seen in Christo's other labs. At the far end of the room stood a towering glass cabinet. Kel wrapped her arms around her.
After showering the dog, running to the library, running to the grocery store, and eating some food, it's dark. It's about 8:30, so it's not too late, but it's dark. The sun sets right now at about 7:15, so I'm winding down. My night is about over. I did finish an audiobook though, so I've been listening to Of Flame and Fury. It's a YA fantasy set around phoenix racing. And I do want to say that the villain, the bad guy, it was pretty obvious. I could see it coming from a mile away. But the story itself, I enjoyed. I think it's because I haven't seen phoenix racing as a plot. The actual races were pretty well written out and it was fun. There were some things that were thrown in a bit too drastically. For example, there is a faction of people who are in rebellion to the commodification of the phoenix. They see them as gods, they should be free, the island exists because of them. And there was an element in the story where they just pop up. They pop up and hinder a race. They pop up and they just start causing chaos. And I just feel like that just wasn't handled well. It felt a little left field. But at the same time, I was entertained. I was having a lot of fun. So much came from that, so much built from that. I do wish I understood the world more. But at the same time, this is YA, and I think for YA, it just was a fun, jolly romp of a story. Because what you have is a team of people who need a racer. They lose their racer, and they need somebody new. And of course, all that's left is the notorious bad boy risky racer, Coop. And seeing these people come together, build a team, but also the stress of needing funding. The girl whose phoenix is to be raced, she literally, her entire home and her aviary burns down. Bad wiring. And when that happens, they're at the mercy of one of the big conglomerate corporations. One of the corps helps them out, right? And I'm sure you can see from a mile away who the bad guy is in all of this. I saw it as well. However, I just had fun. The little bit of angsty teen yearning. There is queer rep, there's bi rep. It's super cute, and I do enjoy the friendships and seeing these characters, and I also felt for these characters enough, which I deeply enjoyed. But the main reason I wanted to chat before I wind out this vlog is I've been reading the Chestnut Springs series. The covers look like this. A few months ago, I read the Lyla Sage series. The covers look like this. Did Lyla Sage steal the Chestnut Springs plot? They're too close. They're way too close. Oh, woof. I'm getting turned up. But the Chestnut Spring series even has the like fiery redhead best friend who was looking for a purpose. And that's the same in the other. You have the grumpy older brother with this child. There are such small tweaks. For example, the grumpy older brother with the child. His baby mom in Chestnut Springs is a mess. The baby mom in Lyla Sage's story, she's a little bit more chill. However, these stories feel too similar. The family structure, the way that they banter together, the way that the other romantic interests are brought in, the way the town is set up. I know there are only so many cowboys in the world, there are only so many small towns in the world, but like I said, the second I saw that red-headed, spunky best friend come out of here, it just felt too close. But you know what it feels like? It feels almost as if the Chestnut Springs series actually pays attention to the story, what the characters are doing, the ranch, the farm, the background, the family. There's more to those Chestnut Springs books, and the smut comes in at about 75% of the way through, and then you get about three sex scenes in that last 25. That's how the first two books turned out. Lyla Sage's books are much shorter, and it feels like they're way smuttier, but also due to the fact that they're shorter and way smuttier, there's less attention given to what's happening around that romance. So it feels like Lyla Sage saw the Chestnut Springs series and said, oh, I can do that better for the ones that want spice. And then I Googled it because they were so similar that I thought the Chestnut Springs author was literally writing under a different name. No, they actually used to be friends. These two authors used to be friends, had a falling out. And I bet you it's because this is a copy and paste story. It's weird. And it's weird because I'm reading the Chestnut Springs and I'm being reminded of the Dun and Dustin series, which is so unfair because the Chestnut Springs is the original. So like my little bit of dislike that's coming, a lot of it comes from the comparison, and it's hard for me to take myself out. But the next book has the next book is the grumpy hockey player. I just want to get to Beau's book. I want to get to Beau's book so bad. Beau is one of my favorites. I'm obsessed with Beau. And I'm also loving the little end chapters where you get some of the dad. But I'm enjoying that. That's what I'm doing right now. If you are looking for a little YA fantasy, what is it called again? What's it called? Of Flame and Fury. I actually recommend that. It's pretty simplistic, but it's very entertaining. That's all I have for you today. A little bit of a haphazard day together. I think the next video you'll see from me, actually I don't even know what the next video you'll see from me is. Thank you for hanging out. It'll be way more bookish next vlog. It's just we hadn't had a life update and we hadn't checked in a minute. I hope you're doing well. If you're also in like a getting your spark back, we can hold each other accountable because I'm getting my spark back. And that is my focus. I really want to go into 2026, the sparkly self that I haven't had in a minute. And I can't wait for you to meet her. I'm gonna talk to you next time.